Just your cats.
And my cats, my other half, everything he owns is in here. I have 2 cats that I've had since they were babies that have helped me get through a lot of hard times. A lot of hard times. I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for my cats, especially one that I recently had to put down, he was given to me the day after I signed over my kids, actually. I just had to put him down in November. But if it wasn't for these cats, I would not still be here.
Cynthia says holistic, the whole person, and address all the barriers that set them up for failure. Shaylin says yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's go back to your current back into your past, because we went current and kind of talked about your situation now, and take your time. Uh, you got your Section 8 voucher. You had, your 4 months to try to find housing. You don't find it. You lose your voucher. At the time, were you clean?
Yeah.
And that's not even if that matters. But so you're clean at that time, right? You fought yourself back. You win the lottery. You have the voucher, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and you're waiting. What happened? What were your triggers? I mean, besides that, and your children are already gone, right?
As a matter of fact, my trigger was I had, it wasn't very much clean time, but I had 80 days clean.
Okay.
The trigger that caused me to use was the day the Salvation Army shelter closed for that time.
Okay. Why did they? Do you remember why they closed?
April 1st.
Oh wow. Okay, so wintertime was over. The shelter had to close. The emergency shelter.
Yep. That is the day I relapsed, because I knew I was just going right back out to what I was before. I was able to stay clean when I was at the shelter because I didn't have to get high to stay warm or to stay awake, so I didn't sleep somewhere where I could get hurt, because my other half at the time, he wasn't able to be with me all the time. So I had to stay awake so I could make sure I was safe.
I have a question for you, Jasmin. From your own experience, I haven't suffered, drug use or drug addiction. But when you say, I wasn't clean for a very long time, you said I was clean for 80 days. To me, with the folks that I've worked with that have struggled with addiction or alcoholism, 80 days seems like an eternity, right? Because you're taking it day by day, right? And working the steps and doing what you have to do while you're in a homeless shelter and fighting the urges to make a different decision. Is that a correct assessment? I'm just trying to understand it from me being not having that experience. But 80 days seems like a tremendously long time.
It is and it isn't. Exactly what you said. It is one day at a time. And it's a lot of willpower and a lot of support to be able to stay clean for just that day. Because you don't know what's the next day, you don't know what's going to happen. And somehow I was able to get clean cold turkey. It took some very drastic things health-wise to happen for me to get clean. But I had 2 heart attacks and a mini stroke. They said I overdosed on meth.
When was this?
This was January 21st, 2016.
Wow. And how old were you then?
Great, now you're making me think. I want to say I was 27, I think. That was 5 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 27, 28.
So you're 27 having heart attacks.
Yeah. That's what got me clean. And then my other half at the time, he went in for emergency surgery in February just a couple days after my heart attacks. He went in for emergency surgery because he couldn't feel from the sternum down, but was still walking. He had spinal stenosis, come find out. He, all of his spinal fluid pooled at T6 and didn't go any further. They didn't know how he was walking, so they had to do emergency surgery and fuse his spine.
What was that due to drugs or just something else?
Hereditary.
Hereditary, okay.
And so I'm trying to stay clean, fighting for my kids, taking care of my other half who just had spinal surgery, who they released us back to a tent.
They couldn't put you up in a hotel for a few days or?
No, nothing. Not a thing. Back to a tent. Thankfully, the Salvation Army shelter opened just around that time, and they allowed us to keep my other half in the building during the day so he could be rest and relax, and I'd change his bandaging and everything. But all in the meanwhile, I'm doing everything CPS is asking me to do. Parenting classes, drug and alcohol classes, like, you name it.
So you're still making it and staying in compliance all while going through this.
And while recouping from having heart attacks, yeah.
Amazing. And they're cognizant that this is what's going on and you're living in a tent, but they want you to go through these classes to try to get your kids back. And as Cynthia was saying, did they not offer you some other services, counseling, things of that nature, some kind of, emergency temporary housing?
No.
So at this point, your kids are gone, so you don't need any housing. You just got to figure out how you're going to build back better.
Yeah, pretty much. And whoa, Deadpool. Sorry, my cat tried to pull you guys down.
The cat's name is Deadpool?
Yes.
Hey, Deadpool, how you doing?
That's Deadpool.
That's a cute kitty. That's a cute kitty.
Thank you. But Salvation Army tried to help as much as they could.
Yeah, shout out to Salvation Army because, through your story, Salvation Army seems to be one of the only constants that you've been able to count on and depend upon. So, shout out to them. But continue. They do great work.
They have been a real staple in my road to where I am today. If it wasn't for them, a lot of people would be even worse off than what they are. I'll say that much. But they really were the only ones that were out there for a long time. A really long time, until here recently. And thankfully, here recently, an organization has been helping me and my other half out quite a bit when they can with gas cards. Because you can never have enough gas.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Sitting on E right now, as a matter of fact.
So if you're on E, that means you're not really using the heat tonight, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Will not be using the heat tonight. And they've helped with food cards so we can be able to eat. Visa gift cards so we can get a hotel room for a couple nights. Man.
If it wasn't for them, I don't know.
We've had so much problems with how people perceive us because of the way we look or the way my van looks.
Especially
that we got turned away from a hotel, even though we had money to get a room.
You got turned away from a hotel?
Away. Yes, because one of the guests thought that we were there to steal or break into their vehicle because of the way we looked. So they went and got the front desk and told the front desk that they were fearful for their property and themselves, for their safety. And the front desk agreed and asked us to leave.
So were you
And
already checked in?
we were going to go check in.
Oh, wow. Wow.
We weren't even, she would not allow us to rent a room because of our appearance and our friend's appearance as we were trying to go check to rent the room, that she turned us away and asked us to leave. So we didn't get to rent a room for that night.
How do you expect to pay for this room?
She actually asked, how do you expect to pay for this room?
Yeah, like I got the money right here.
My other half says cash, credit card. It doesn't matter. We have the money to be able to get it. And she still asked us to leave.
These are the stories that you don't hear, folks. And it's so terribly important that we not only hear this, but we listen to this. Because, again, we don't see this. We don't understand this. And through understanding, change can come. Cynthia says the solution for them is to take the kids, not realizing that this is traumatic to both the parents and children. Substance abuse, no one hand is deemed a disease of addiction. However, people are severely punished instead of helped. Yeah. You know, and you know, even with that said, you know, there have been some gains made. So I do want to, you know, acknowledge that. You know, drug court didn't always exist. You know, housing first. You know, there are some things that are changing for the better. The problem is that it's its own pandemic. You know, and it exists, and we've been walking past it in many cases. A lot of us. We see it in Seattle when you get off the ferry and you see homeless folks across the walking bridge, and it smells like urine, and it gets worse, and you see the camps and folks complain, and you don't really see it here, and out of sight, out of mind. You see pictures in, you know, San Francisco and some other areas, and you say that that's over there, and those people aren't really human because it's just kind of a distance news story. But these folks are right next to you. They are here. These are mothers, their daughters, their sisters, their sons, their fathers. This is their situation. They are humans.
I'm going to turn my camera off for a moment. I have to find a jacket or sweater or something warmer real quick.
Yep,
I'll
go
be
ahead.
right back.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
So while Jasmin does that, again, you know, you are watching The Conduit with Marwan Cameron. Our guest tonight is Jasmin Hernandez. And as she said, this is real, folks. She's in her car having an interview because she is homeless, sleeping in her car. My Echo says it's 43 degrees. It got down to 32 last night, which meant that the emergency shelter opened. She is out of fuel, so that means they are not going to have heat throughout the night. If anyone that is in the chat has any ideas or resources that we could point them to, please go ahead and type that in the chat. If there's anyone that wants to donate to them, you can contact me. We will ensure that they receive whatever donation you want to give. Our contact information is scrolling at the bottom. Cynthia Brady says, thank you, Marwan Cameron. And I say thank you to you because it really is viewership that helps to get the word out. I could just be spitting in the wind and no one is hearing it. So your dedication to tuning in, listening, commenting is so tremendously important. And we say the cliche things like, you know, homeless people just want to be acknowledged, and, you know, you just want to smile at them or just say hi. You know, even if you just do that, it means so much. And it's like, nah, it's not enough, you know. And to that end, when we're in this space like this is what needs to happen, right? This is the cliche smiling or speaking to someone and being humane, is actually listening to their story, commenting, and showing your support in that way. So I am tremendously thankful for all of you that are tuning in and listening, because it's important. It's important. Shaylin Houston says, think about the book Evicted. Yes, it's actually a very good book. Cynthia says, this does not need to be heard and addressed, or this does need to be heard and addressed, sorry. People judge folks but never ask their stories. It is the same for the judges, the prosecutors, the court-appointed attorneys, CPS, etc. They don't hear people's whole stories before making a judgment call. Absolutely true, right? You are what you do, right? So I use drugs. Well, you're an addict, right? And that's all they see. You neglected your children, so you're a bad parent, right? And so then we get hit with these labels, and then they don't really care, right? This is so very frustrating. This is one story of thousands of stories. Thousands of stories. And again, if I can just go back to our own data in Kitsap County. I'm so glad that I had this research for the other day and it's out for this. But again, this is from October of 2019. 2,644 Kitsap County households needed housing assistance in 2018. 1,018 were children. 478 people without a home counted in a 24-hour period back in 2019. 1,106 were literally homeless households. Okay? And to that end, when we look at again, and you can find this on the Kitsap County website, all of that information is there. So this is the 2020 Kitsap County point in time count overview. This is preliminary data. Okay? Homelessness is up 11% from last year, which is no surprise because of COVID. But that was from 2019 to 2020. We haven't looked at 2020 to 2021 yet. So we don't know how much more that has increased. If people think that this is just in Bremerton homelessness is 38%. Port Orchard is 31%. Bainbridge Island is 5%. Poulsbo is 14%. And Silverdale is 12%. So if you think homelessness only exists in Bremerton, you would be wrong. The causes of homelessness: mental health, 51%. Not drugs, mental health. So we often say, hey, there's mental health or there's drug addiction. And drug addiction, I would say, kind of gets a bad rap or scapegoated. And it's mental health is number one, 51%. Permanent physical disability is number two at 33%. Chronic health conditions are number three at 29%. Fourth is chronic substance abuse. Fourth. I want you to think about that. Take that in, because the misnomer is, all these people are out here are addicts and alcoholics and they, they put themselves in that situation. No, that's the fourth one down, actually. Developmental disabilities, 12. And on that, one of my brothers is special needs, or has special needs. I don't think that we often consider what happens to kids when they have mental health issues, if they have special needs that need to be addressed, and they go into adulthood, if they even make it to adulthood in their home, and now they find themselves out on the street and they're homeless. And then you expect them to stay clean and sober when so many of us have jobs and houses, have enough money to pay our rent, go on vacation and everything else, and suffering from our own drug abuse and alcoholism. But it's okay if we're functioning drug addicts or functioning alcoholics. Sorry, I know get off my soapbox. Let me just read these chats and then we'll come back to you, Jasmin.
Okay.
Cynthia says, and tell us how we can donate again. So Cynthia, you can donate to G2. We will make sure that Jasmin gets whatever is donated. At the bottom of the ticker, you will see our information. Our phone number is 360-373-3000. We are down at 419 Park Avenue. Again, that is down there in the ticker, so you can just see it. It keeps scrolling by. We are catty corner to Sea Film, downtown Bremerton, right above the Co-op grocery store. And you can send us an email at gather, the number 2, grow, the number 2, at g2g2.org. All right. And then Cynthia says, absolutely several stories. Many people start drinking and drugging after other horrific things happen to them. Absolutely. And that's what the downward spiral is, right? There's a lot of folks that their house burnt down, right? Everything was fine. 2-parent household. Both parents are working, or you got a stay-at-home mom. All their bills, they're doing fine. They're living life. And one disaster and down everything goes. Or an accident or a health issue, right? And then these situations happen. So would that qualify as no fault of their own? And at the end of the day, does it really matter if it was any fault of their own or not? I don't know. That's rhetorical. All right, Jasmin. So let's go back a little bit. It's like 2016 now. You are waiting on the voucher. Were you working at the time? Do you remember what jobs you were working?
In 2016, no, I didn't start working again until actually 2019.
Okay, talk about that if you would.
I worked at Burger King for 6 months, actually.
Okay.
And it was hard to get that job. I harassed them for probably close to 6 months.
Mm. So much about these people not wanting to work. But go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
And asking them just to give me a chance. And finally, this is somewhere I'd go in every single day and charge my phone and stay warm for a little bit. And the employees would let me. The managers there actually got a hold of the owner and convinced her to give me a chance. And things were going okay for a little bit. But then there was issues where I was actually told that by the GM that my customers don't want people like you making their food.
That's what the general manager said?
That is what the general manager told me, is my customers don't want people like you making their food. And my response to him was, people like me? What do you mean people like me? He goes, homeless drug addicts. I said, excuse me, but did you know that over half of your crew had no idea that I was living in a tent until just recently? And that was only because I let them know that. They had no idea. So what do you mean people like me? How do they know what I'm about? I'm doing my job. And I'm not doing bad. But
so let me get this straight. You worked for 6 months. They hired you. And it wasn't until they found out that you were homeless that it was then no longer acceptable for you to work there.
No, the GM did not want me working there because of my homeless status. But he was overrid. The owner overrode his decision.
Got you. So when did he say that he didn't want you working there? How long had you been working there?
Oh, I think it was only like a week and a half, 2 weeks in.
Okay. All right. And so
maybe a month at the most. But I still continued to work, and he wouldn't speak to me. He made my job a little difficult, but I still did my job. I was dealing with domestic violence at the same time. So that made my job even harder.
So you're homeless, dealing with DV. You've got a GM that doesn't want you there. And who advocated for you again?
The employees there, other employees that work there, they 100% had my back. And that was really cool because they knew, some of them knew my situation, some of them didn't. But they knew I did my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked hard. Shoot, I was doing deep cleaning while doing regular stuff that all the rest of the crew does, because that's what the GM asked me to do. I'm going to do my job. I'm sorry that my uniform wasn't the cleanest today because I didn't have a way to wash it. But I'm here and I'm trying to work.
And so you
but I get sent home.
So you made it 6 months, and then what happened? Oh, you got sent home because your uniform wasn't clean?
Yeah, a couple times, yeah.
Okay.
I ended up getting fired from there. He says I quit. I didn't quit. He removed me off the schedule. I come in the next day and my name's completely crossed off the schedule.
And how long were you off the schedule?
Indefinitely.
So that is a tactic that I have seen used before. So this is not the first time. And they will blame it on the employee and say that the employee quit, but they're not on the schedule for 2 weeks. And it's like you check in, nope, not on the schedule, not on the schedule. Well, then you assume that you've been fired. And then when you don't come in, then it's, well, you quit, right? And we don't have to pay you unemployment because you did that to yourself.
Yep. And so that job lasted me 6 months. I was so proud of myself. And a lot of the people that were homeless in the community around me, because we're a community. When we have areas where we all support each other, or we try to the best we can. And everybody was so proud of me, and I was proud of myself. Mm-hmm. That was my first actual legitimate job that wasn't like, I had a job caring for my mother-in-law for 2 months. She lived in the home with me. It was easy as can be. I didn't feel like a job. It was daily living. But this was my first actual paying job, was Burger King. And I tried so hard and it wasn't good enough because I couldn't hold the same standards as somebody as somebody who had a home. And that sucked. That was hard. And then 2 months later, my mom had received a settlement, and she had put me and my now ex up in a hotel room with her because she was homeless as well, fighting breast cancer, homeless. That was hard on my mom. Mm-hmm. But she got us a hotel room for 2 months, and I ended up getting hired there after I was very persistent on becoming a housekeeper. I had that job for 2 months.
What happened there?
I was staying in the hotel room when I got hired, right? Mm-hmm. Well, couple days after getting hired and I'm working, I get told that employees are not allowed to stay at the hotel.
But it's paid for. And you're working, so you're earning money.
Yeah. Employees are not allowed to stay at the hotel, so I had to leave. If I was going to be working there, I could not stay there too. I had just got given this van at the time, which was cool. I stayed in their parking lot because I didn't want to miss work. I didn't want to get up late because I don't have an alarm clock to wake me up and miss work. So I stayed in their parking lot. That was an issue. Couldn't stay in the parking lot either. So I had to move on to a different spot. I ended up being able to stay at a little property out in Seabeck, right? Mm-hmm. On my way to work one day, my the studs on my tire the things that hold the lug nuts. um,
Studs you have.
One of them broke and the wheel almost came off. I called into work and told them that I was going to be late. I was trying to get there as soon as I could. I ended up showing up there, and the head housekeeper is arguing with me and yelling at me that I don't need to be there anymore. She needs somebody that's actually going to show up to work and be there on time. And I'm on the schedule and I'm here on time. Actually, I was 20 minutes early. She was yelling at me so loud that guests actually popped their head out of their room to make sure everything was okay. Mm. I was called into the office and told by the owners to leave the property. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't raising my voice. I was staying calm. I wasn't being rude. I was trying to hold myself at a standard that obviously they couldn't hold themselves to. But I was told to leave, and when they need me, they would call me. Never received a phone call back.
So they
actually said if I didn't leave, they'd call the cops.
So there's a couple things I want to point out. And again, this is the hidden reality of homelessness, right? So even when you pull yourself up from your bootstraps, which can't be done, you're gifted a hotel room for 2 months. You have the tenacity to advocate for yourself to get a job. They first say, well, you can't stay in the same hotel that you work at. All right, well, I'll sleep in my van in the parking lot, probably not in the front of the office, probably at the edge of the parking lot, so that I'm not late and I'm always on time. Well, then that's not good enough. So I find a space that's safe way the hell out in Seabeck. And my car breaks down on the way to work. Well, I mean, it was already gifted to me. It's wear and tear. The tabs are already expired. I'm doing all the things. And what the hell am I supposed to do? I literally am trying everything. I'm doing all the things. And I'm doing it for an extended amount of time. But the rug keeps being pulled from under me. And then society looks at me like it's my fault. I'm trying. I'm doing everything. I worked here for 6 months. I got the job at Burger King. The GM wants to let me go. The employees advocate for me. I'm still working there. I'm there for 6 months. But because I can't keep my uniform clean, I'm being sent home. Now, we could have been, I don't know, community-minded, the GM or the manager, not that it was their responsibility or anything like that, could have said, hey, you know what? We have someone who is really making an effort in the community. Here, go and wash your clothes at the laundromat. Here, we're going to sponsor another uniform for you.
I do have to say that there was 2 managers there that I have to give some mad respect to and mad props to, because one of the managers there, she offered to take my uniform once she found out everything. She offered to take my uniform home with her and wash it. She offered to bring me hygiene packets, like things, but it was too late by then. But they did. The crew there and the managers there, they were amazing. The GM, he needs to learn a little bit of consideration and empathy. And that's one thing I really want people to realize, is how they look at us and how they treat us. You don't know if that's going to be the last time that person's going to be treated by somebody, because that could be the breaking point for somebody in my situation. the way you guys look at us and the way you guys treat us and talk to us, it really does affect us. It tears us down or brings us up. You guys are no closer to being no more than one paycheck away from being in the same situation I am. But people don't think like that all the time. But right now, everybody is just one paycheck away from being homeless with everything that's going on. And think about it, if you're in my shoes, would you want to be talked to or treated the way that you're treating that other person? Because I can almost guarantee that if half the people that look down their noses at us were put in the same situation that we're in, they wouldn't be able to survive out here, let alone be able to handle the way they're treated.
Jasmin, I want to talk on empathy. You're watching The Conduit with Marwan Cameron. Our guest tonight is Jasmin Hernandez. The story doesn't get any realer than this. Doesn't get any realer than this. Cynthia Brady, she says, homeless women and teenagers are at risk of being raped, pimped out, human trafficked, and or dead. Those are facts. And I can tell you that there was a day when we were cooking food for insecure folks up at New Horizon Baptist Church, which is coincidentally, literally right across the street from the police department. And a kid was almost snatched in a van in broad daylight in between the church and the police department. And some good Samaritan adults on the street were able to intervene and save that kid. These are scary times. Cynthia also says fast food restaurants and retail places will pull that. And that's in regards to just kind of taking you off the schedule until you think you've been fired. And then when you don't come in, they say, well, you didn't come in, you're fired. And we don't have to pay unemployment benefits, right? That's a game that they absolutely play. Cynthia Brady says that is awful. Drayton Jackson weighs in. Shout out to him. We have to change, not fix, change the system. Not later, but now. I absolutely agree with that. Cynthia also says people definitely need to learn empathy. She also says, say that. This could happen to anyone. You are right. One paycheck away. And I'll even go a step further. There's a lot of people that don't even have a paycheck right now, right? They're waiting on the stimulus check. The fact that they're in the eviction moratorium, that's the only thing that's keeping them in their house now. As soon as that's out, they're out, right? You're behind on your rent. Your relationship with the landlord is fractured because they need the money to pay their mortgage or to put food on the table and do those things. Your credit is destroyed. Your reputation as far as being a good renter is destroyed, and you don't have a job. So as soon as the moratorium's over, they actually don't really have much of a choice. They've got to get you out and get a tenant in that can actually pay the rent. So now you're evicted and you're out there. There's no job. There's going to be a lot more competition for jobs. So good luck with that. And then you need first, last, and deposit. And everybody is going to be coming for resources. So we have a true crisis that is getting ready to happen in this country that we're already in a huge, horrible way. Drayton says that is the truth. And Cynthia Brady says tell the truth. What I wanted to say about empathy, Jasmin, was this. You know, we folks donate to the causes, right? My heart bleeds for these people. And they make their donations, they do whatever it is, and that's great. You know, your donations do help. Your gifts of time are impactful. But understanding how people are treated at the surface level and how that impacts why they are so still in the condition that they're in, or they're chronically homeless, or the addiction seems to just come back. I'm 80 days clean, this, that, and the other happens, and it triggers, and I spiral back down. I win the Section 8 lottery, and then I'm told to hurry up and wait for years, and stuff happens. And so when you are your own best advocate and you fight for the jobs that you've received, you're working the jobs, and they're putting these barriers in your way. And at the same time, what I mean by the empathy is, let's say you hire someone who is currently homeless. And the expectation is they need to be able to operate at the same level as someone who doesn't have the issues that they have. So as she said in her own situation, as an example, right? She gets hired. She has to be able to do the job, of course, right? You can't hire someone that can't do the job. So she's able to do the job. She's able to keep her mental faculty together. She's able to not be in an active addiction and work as an employee, but deal with all of the, we might not even say microaggressions, right? Macroaggressions, just straight up aggression. And in the case of Burger King, the GM is making her do deep cleaning on top of doing her regular job. So she has to operate above and beyond what regular folks are asked to do. And because of that stigma and that thought, it's like, man, the first time I can get you up out of here, you're gone. And the first time that she even made a mistake, which there was really no mistake made on her space, there would be no empathy there, because if she were to have a bad day, would it be reasonable to say, yeah, if anyone deserves to have a bad day or an off day because maybe they snapped at a customer or they snapped at the supervisor, that you give them a mulligan on that? But it's, you get the shortest chance, right? You've got the shortest rope.
Yeah.
The stakes are so terribly high. And no one can make it through that amount of stress. And it's a miracle that someone is able to stay clean, to not allow their mental health to get the better of them. And they're battling all these things for 6 months, for 2 months, for 80 days. And still is not enough help and support, although they are doing all of the things. And then we look at it from afar and say, well, they're there because they want to be there. This story is so important. Please share, like, and subscribe. This message needs to get out. This is how we're going to change it. Cynthia says, even how the laws they vote on play a role in how people are treated. It does not become a problem or empathetic for them until it hits home. And that is the gospel truth, right? I mean, that's how the LGBT community was able to move forward, right? In the country. It wasn't until folks that were against it started having it in their own homes, and folks were starting to come out in more and more numbers, that they had to become more accepting of it or tolerant of it. And then the laws changed, right? But without humanizing the situation that is here, this isn't San Francisco. This isn't New York. This isn't Texas without power. This isn't Mississippi without water for 2 weeks. This isn't Seattle across the ferry. This is downtown Bremerton. This is Port Orchard at the Walmart. This is Silverdale at the mall. This is Bainbridge Island around the casino. This is Poulsbo. This is everywhere. This was a mother. This is a mother that is doing what she can. Again, Cynthia asked how to donate. If you would like to donate either time, money, counseling, conversation, give us a call, 360-373-3000. The ticker at the bottom has our information. Tonight, we will match up to the first $100 of donation and provide that directly to Jasmin. Jasmin, would you mind introducing your spouse or your significant other? Is he okay with being on camera?
Yeah.
I guess.
Hold on one moment. Oh, I dropped you guys. Okay. That's my other half, Ralph.
How you doing, Ralph? Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you too.
Ralph, are you the one that had was it sepsis in your spinal column?
No, that was not me. No.
That was not you. Okay.
No.
No,
I'm grateful that was not me.
no, I was with that person for 6 years.
Okay.
And unfortunately, things got too bad. Too much stress was put on both of us, and we both did things we both regret and would have never done before. Unfortunately, there's a no contact order now, but he's doing a lot better. He's getting the help he needs, and I'm doing a lot better too.
And that's not surprising, right? I mean, we think about relationships, I've been in a number of failed relationships, marriage, right? Under the best of conditions. And so now you're trying to make it together in this situation. The strain on a relationship is tremendous.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
Very much. Me and Ralph have been together for just barely over a year now. And believe me, we've had some ups and downs, but we both are trying to get our lives back on track and trying to get a better life for both of us where we deserve.
This isn't one person. This is two that we're speaking to tonight of the hundreds that are here in the county. Again, if you know someone who has employment opportunities, you can clearly hear from her story. She is hardworking and dedicated.
I'm willing to learn anything.
And pliable. And humble. What more could you ask for in a potential employee? Cynthia says, sad but true. She also says, instead of being helped and trained how to be a good mother, they took her hope away when they took her children away.
They didn't just take my hope. I am not the same anymore.
Damn near took your soul.
My kids were my everything, my world. When they took my kids and I couldn't get them back, they killed part of me. I will never be the same again.
And still, you got the job at Burger King. Still, you got the job at the hotel.
Of course, because I don't want my kids to turn 18 and see their mother the same spot that she was before. My son turns 18. My oldest turns 18 in 2 years. And I'm no closer to being in a better position than I was when he got taken, because I'm still on the streets. And I don't want them thinking that I did it just so I could keep partying and having fun and being without them, because that's not the case.
So then this is our challenge, y'all. We are a community. We've got 2 years to get Jasmin and Ralph stabilized. And the requirement is on all of us. We cannot wait on the government. to solve the problem for us. We have to take action into our own hands. That is what community means. Drayton says, there are good people, just need real help. Real help. Thank you, G2 and Marwan Cameron. I have 50 coming your way. Robert Dent, Comfort Inn Port Orchard is hiring. Cynthia Brady, I know. Trust me, I know.
I do want to thank everybody for taking the time to actually hear my story and hear my struggles, and to actually even just taking the time to listen. Thank you.
I will speak for myself, but I believe that everyone listening would agree. And we thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your experience with us, because it's not easy to do. Most people don't want to admit their mistakes and their faults. And one, you did that, and talk about the struggles. Pride and all kinds of other things get in the way, and we thank you for spending some time with us tonight and sharing, because we do need to hear this. Before we go, what was that, George? Did George say something?
No.
Before we go, are there any final thoughts that you want to share?
Just keep in mind how you guys think. Like I said at the beginning, we all bleed the same blood. No different than anybody else, except for I've made some stupid mistakes, and I'm dealing with the consequences and trying to get back up on my feet. And that's all anybody else is doing out here.
You know, that's interesting that you say that. And I think that's another issue with society, right? And we have like sayings like you can't bring a gun to a knife fight. And so the analogy, the comparison would be, if someone makes a mistake, when have they paid their penance? Was it your addiction and having to fight that? Was that enough? Was that enough, society? Did she pay enough through being addicted? Did she pay enough for losing her children? Was that enough? Did she need to suffer more? Was it enough for her every time she tried to get knocked down? Every time she got back up? Was that enough? Does she still need to pay? Has she paid? Has she atoned enough? See, I think that gets lost. People don't understand how long folks have been in the wilderness, how long they've been suffering. And it's so easy to say, well, you know, if you want it, you would just stop doing this, or you'd make better choices, or you would get help. This story, she did all these things. Is it enough? Has she paid enough?
I do gotta make a shout out to the organization that has been able to offer help recently.
Please do.
Through the gift cards and the gas and the food cards.
Please do.
The Foundation for Poverty and Homeless Management. They
are freaking amazing.
They're amazing. They're helping where they can. And I thank you guys.
Say the name again.
The Foundation for Poverty and Homeless Management.
All right, I'm typing that in the chat. Shout out to the Foundation for Poverty and Homeless Management, who have been helping Jasmin and Ralph and doing what they can. But more is needed. More is needed. Again, G2 will match the first $100 of donations. You can donate. Just contact us at 360-373-3000. We're down at 419 Park Avenue. We will be in office tomorrow after 10 a.m. Give us a call. Just let us know when you're going to come down, if you're dropping off blankets or food or whatever it may be. If you have any job opportunities, mentorship, any of those things, please reach out and we will pass that information on to Jasmin. Cynthia,
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Cynthia says, you are welcome. Thank you. I will definitely be praying for you, and I will reach out tomorrow on. And she says, you need to heal. And she also says she needs healing. It is hard to move forward with that time of pain, with that kind of pain. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. All right. What I'll say is, Jasmin, if you want to stop by tomorrow at 10, if you can't, just give me a call and we'll come to wherever you're at. Okay? And then drop off whatever's come in at that time. And then as it comes in, we'll just, keep reaching out to you and making sure that we connect with you.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you then.
You got it. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to say goodbye to you for now.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too. See you later, Ralph.
See ya. Thank you.
You got it. Nice to meet you.
You too.
All right. So I'm going to stay on for a little bit longer here. And I know that you can hear me, but I just need to get my camera going. When you're on a Zoom, you can't do two things at one time. So you can only have one program use the device at once. So I've got to cut that off and then turn it back on. But, man, what a story. What a story. What a story. We can and we must change the situation. And we can change the situation. We truly can. We just need to do that. And it starts through knowledge. I think that's the first thing that has to happen so that we can get to a point where we can start to make changes in our community. And again, these things don't have to be huge changes. Saving her life, Ralph, really big deal. Really big deal. And I just got a text from Jasmin, and she says that her battery is dead in her van now. So I'm actually going to, Rob, if you are listening, will you please dispatch one of our drivers to her location to jump her car and put $20 of gas in their vehicle, please? So, Rob, if you are listening to that, please dispatch one of our drivers to go ahead and jump her car and put $20 of gas in there. All right. And that's what it is. Since we've been talking, the temperature is dropping down to 40 degrees. So that is where we are currently. Yeah. Yeah, this was a tough show for me. Don't know how it was for you guys, but that was a tough one. But we needed to hear that. So again, please drop your donations off. Give us a call, 373-3000. And we'll see you tomorrow night at 6:30. I am Marwan Cameron. And this is the Conduit. As cliche as it sounds, we need to be the change we want to see. Thank you, Rob. Rob says he is on his way. I do not like procrastination. I believe in immediately taking action. Diana Sullivan, good to see you. She says, great show, was needed and right on time. Cynthia says, yes, and so many stories like hers. I'm happy you brought her on. Sometimes we don't realize how blessed we are. So very true. All right. It's 8:30. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Unless I see you tonight. I may need to get some more stuff off my chest, but we'll see. All right. I'm Marwan Cameron. This is The Conduit.
1, 2, 3, 4.